What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you once again from SRL. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. Alright, KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you once again from SRL here on the PS4 platform as we get ready to do F122 Season 8 Round 6 here at Abu Dhabi, coincidentally. Real Formula One is also racing at Abu Dhabi this weekend, closing out their 2022 season as we continue along with ours. Coming off of a incident-filled round 5 at San Marino, where we saw a number of drivers take some hits. But we also saw Nicolò Falzaresi picking up his first pole position of the season, breaking the 4-race pole streak by Logan Arand, who had 4 poles in a row. Max Mulder picking up his first win of the season, along with Tim Ventic finishing in second. And Vincenzo Torri, back-to-back back-to-back podium positions for him, I should say. Finishing third. Oleski was fourth. Logan Arand, who had a first lap mishap with Oleski and Nicolò, fell all the way to the back of the field, managed to drive his way back into 5th position. Nicolò finished 6th. Sandro Duis was 7th. Dion Stahl finished 8th. Robin Herterstegen was 9th. And Luke Smith had a great run from the back to the front, but ultimately ended up getting a 10-second time penalty for passing Sandro Duis on the safety car restart towards the end of the race, gave himself a 10-second penalty, so he would only end up finishing in the 10th position. Jesper Lempinen was 11th. Cameron Weston-Edwards making his Season 8 debut, finishing 12th. Christian Dorman, 13th. Fran Sanchez was 14th. Senna picked up his second DNF of the season, along with Juan Vasquez, also finishing in the 16th spot with his second DNF of the season. And we are getting ready to do a 50% race, preceded by an 18-minute short qualifying session here at Abu Dhabi. Run down the driver lineup for who we have today. Sandro Duis will be in the Ferrari, followed by Vincenzo Torri in the Alfa Romeo, Oleski in the AlphaTauri, Tim Ventic rocking the Haas, Jesper Lempinen in the other AlphaTauri, Ivan Brito back today, and Guillermo Garcia in the Alpine is coming back after a 3-race ban. We're also seeing the season debut of Brian Power in the other Williams. Nicolò Falzaresi in the other Alfa Romeo, Senna Haywire in the Aston Martin, Cameron Weston-Edwards back today in the McLaren, Eric Holm in the Mercedes filling in, Logan Arand in the Haas, last week's winner Max Mulder is going to be in the Mercedes, Luke Smith once again, temporary driver, filling in, he'll be in the Red Bull along with Robin Herterstegen, Dion Stahl, and Nick Van Gelder will be in the other Red Bull. And let's see, temp 103495, that is Juan Vasquez in the other Alpine. So good to see Nick Van Gelder making his way back on time for this week's race. He missed last week's race by a matter of seconds trying to get back. Had to run an update. Unfortunately, the game didn't update in time. He was not able to attend the race. It's all about that time management, Nick. All about that time management. So Nick Van Gelder will be rocking in the Red Bull today, your Season 4 champion. Getting back on track. Almost a full grid. As we wait for the countdown to begin. Sandro Duis on the live chat along with SRL saying hi to everybody. Feel free to leave some comments in the live chat. Throughout the race, I'll try to answer all your questions to the best of my knowledge and the best of my ability as I try to keep up with all the action on track. As we get ready to kick off this 18-minute short qualifying session. "19 drivers, almost a full grid. This is the highest driver count we've had all year. Good to see. So drivers will make some setups for their cars. We'll see. It's the first time we're going to be seeing Eric Holm this year. He's raced sporadically for us in the past. Hear the engines fire up. See a couple of cars moving on out. See who is the first driver to be out on his out lap. Looks like that was a Mercedes and a McLaren heading out. And it looks like the first driver we're going to come across is Oleski. So everybody on their out laps. Looks like Logan Aron is actually out in front of him. So Logan, still the championship points leader, did take a little bit of a hit last week, finishing in the 5th spot, but not too bad. Max Mulder ended up winning the race. So Max has now made himself a part of this championship fight. Basically a 5-car battle right now between Logan Aron, Oleski, Sandro Dulius, Tim Ventic, and now Max Mulder. Mulder did have a podium in round 1 to kick the season off, but Logan Aron in the Haas is going to start his hot lap. Right along with him, got a car coming out of the pits down to the short straightaway here. Good to see they've gotten rid of that chicane. Looks like he's going to get a little bit of a slipstream off of this car. Not much. Looks like that might have been Luke Smith coming out of the pits. Or possibly Brian Power. Looks like it was Brian Power on his out lap. Whoa, gingerly through there and then smashes the gas to get that car going again. Lighten up those rear wheels. Woo, does it again as he lights them up. Bit of a twitch there as he comes down to the final corner, back out on the front straightaway, hard on the gas, spins the tires again, comes across the line with a 123.540. And Oleski's right behind him with a 124.932. I'm pretty sure Oleski's got more in the tank than that, but man, and there we go. Nicolo Falzarezzi 123.683, so he's a 10th off. Max Mulder comes across the line 124.368. And we see Vincenzo with a 124.712. Pick up some of these drivers. Pick up Senna. Senna getting out of the way. We'll pick up the McLaren of Robin Herterstegen. Actually, let's see if we can get some lap data up here. That way I know what's going on. So Robin Herterstegen in the McLaren. See, Jesper Lempinen has set a time of 152.612. Obviously going to be well off the pace there. May have had an interrupted hot lap. See, Senna Haywire has gone 7th quickest with a 125.573. Guillermo Garcia, 6th quickest so far, 124.982. Currently riding on board with Robin Herterstegen as he comes down to the final sector. Last couple of corners of this track. Tries to get that front end turned hard, and he's going to be back on the gas, and that's going to be a 127.022, good enough for 9th. See if we can pick up Cameron Wesson-Edwards in the other McLaren. He's on an out lap. Looks like we'll hop on with Eric Holm. Holm on an out lap as he comes down on the final couple of corners of this track. Almost a little wide through there, back on the gas, and he's going to come across 125.678. That's good enough for 10th quickest so far. And I don't really see a whole lot of people on an out lap. I see a lot of people on an out lap. Pick up Sandro Dulius. Looks like he's coming across the line. He's just now starting his first hot lap of the session. Down the front straightaway into the sweeping left-hander. Sandro running a commemorative special edition helmet this weekend in honor of Sebastian Vettel. He's easily Sandro's favorite Formula One driver as Sebastian Vettel finishes out his Formula One career this weekend, also at Abu Dhabi. So Sandro running special helmet in his honor. And Formula One world will certainly not be the same without Vettel in it. And I think Vettel's career path has obviously been a very interesting one. Four-time champion, 50-plus wins. And I think the thing that I'm most impressed with Sebastian Vettel is that he's one of the rare drivers that has not only grown as a driver throughout the course of his career, but I think it's easy to see that, especially as he's gotten older, he's grown more as a person, as we see Sandro come across the line at a 125.1. And I think that's a very rare thing, especially in the race car world. There's a lot of drivers that are always going to be just who and what they are. Michael Schumacher, obviously one of the greatest drivers of all time, is always going to be just Michael Schumacher. Same thing with guys like Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen was always just Kimi. He never really grew much as a driver or as a person. He was always just Kimi. Same thing with Michael Schumacher. And you could say the same for a lot of other drivers. But I really think Sebastian Vettel grew as a person and as a driver. Not only did he become a better driver, he became a better person. And that's not to say that there's other people are bad people. It's just rare you see somebody mature throughout the course of their life. When you take a driver like Lewis Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton's always been a great driver. The only thing he has grown, he hasn't grown as a person. He's grown his celebrity. He's grown his brand, but he has not grown as a person, in my opinion. So, Sandro running the special edition helmet in honor of Sebastian Vettel. In fact, we also have Nicolo Falzaresi, who has managed to go second quickest so far, and he's currently on an out lap, so we're going to pick him up. But Falzaresi, you see there, he's actually running a special edition helmet as well, that almost like a sky blue, baby blue color. And that is in honor of a child at his hometown that was unfortunately killed in an accident. He's wearing that helmet in honor of him. Excuse me. So currently 14 drivers have set times. Let's see if we can pick up Tim Ventic. Ventic in the other Haas. Dodging cars as he comes through Sector 3. He's yet to set a time as he comes down the last couple of corners here, and around goes Ventic Woo! And he's going to back this car out of the way. Whoa! And around goes. Is that the other Haas of Logan? Yes, it was. Or no, it was not. I don't know what car that was. Might have been one of the AlphaTauris, but... So Ventic's going to have to come around and try again. We'll pick up Brian Power. Brian Power coming towards the end of this lap. He's yet to set a time. Brian Power, certainly not one of the fastest drivers, but he's definitely one of the most colorful off track. He comes across the line with a 1:26.392, good enough for 14th. And we'll pick up Juan Vasquez again. He's yet to set a time. He's in the other Williams. He dives into the pits. Pick up Vincenzo Torre. Don't think Vincenzo's on a hot lap. He's just a little off of the pace right now. He's going to be well off of his previous time. And he is going to dive into the pits as well. See Guillermo Garcia. He's also off the pace. Jesper Lempinen will pick him up, currently 8th quickest with a 1:25 flat. So he heads down the long straightaway here. 5 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in this session. See a lot of guys diving into the pits, and Jesper is not on a hot lap, so it'd be nice if I could pick somebody up that was. Looks like Sandro Julius might be on a hot lap, currently 9th quickest with a 1:25.1. I'm sure that's not where he wants to be. A little too much of that sausage curb on that right-hander there through that chicane. Only cost him a little bit of time. See Juan Vasquez on the live chat saying it's the second time he's been blocked on a push lap and a spin. So that was Juan Vasquez that had spun when Tim Ventic had gone around. Right along with Sandro, trying to improve his time. Runs it all the way out to the guardrail. Whoa! And around goes Sandro as he pulls a Tim Ventic. So Sandro will dive into the pits. Pick up Cameron Weston Edwards. And Edwards, he was ahead of his previous time at the Sector 2, and he's gone 10th quickest. He's gone 1:25.101, right behind his longtime rival, Sandro Julius. Two of the longest tenured drivers in this league. And we see Tim Ventic now. Well, this is Ivan Brito. I'm not sure what Ivan's doing. So we'll pick up Tim Ventic, still yet to have set a time. We saw him have that spin on his last hot lap, and it's getting down to the nitty-gritty here. 3 minutes left to play in the session. Logan Arond is still your provisional pole sitter with a 1:23.3. He's improved his time. Niccolo Falzaresi, 1:23.682. 3/10 off, and then you have Max Mulder, 1:23.962. Those are the only three drivers to crack into the 1:23s. And then from there, it's a half a second gap back to Vincenzo Torre coming off of back-to-back podium finishes. Riding along with championship contender and former champion himself here in SRL, Tim Ventic. Ventic won a couple seasons ago in the McLaren. does have a car in front of him. Woo, the big twitch there. So that definitely cost him some time, but he's got to get a banker lap in and a 1:25.610, and that's going to be real disappointing for Tim because we know Tim is way faster than that. Try to pick up Falzaresi, and it looks like Falzaresi's already almost a tenth off of his previous time, so far not improving. Ooh, and a little bit of a twitch there coming out of the chicane. You see Logan Arond is currently on an out lap, and time is winding down. Less than 2 minutes to go. Now, at this rate, Nicolo will come across the line with enough time to start another hot lap if he wants to try it again. Looks like he's struggling just a little bit with some grip. Uh-oh, and Falzaresi is going to dive into the pits, and that's probably going to do it for him. So he's going to be locked in, 1:23.615. So we'll pick up Oleski, who's gone third quickest now, bumped Max Mulder, 1:23.925. Does anybody have anything for Logan Arond as he looks to secure his 5th pole position of the season? And Oleski is going to dive into the pits. We'll pick up Max Mulder. And Vincenzo Torri has retired from the session. Time is up. Hot laps will count. Cameron Weston Edwards is locked in at a 1:25.101. Brian Power locked in at a 1:26.392. And unfortunately, newcomer WSK Falcon. And around goes the Mercedes of Mulder as he smashes his car. We'll pick up Guillermo Garcia. He's off the pace. Nick Van Gelder. Now, Van Gelder looks like he's a half a second up over his previous time. And Van Gelder up to 5th quickest. Good on him. A lot of these drivers we haven't been able to talk about. Eric Holmes off the pace. Jesper Lampinen. Looks like Sandro might be trying to do a flyer as he comes down to the last corner. And only good enough for 9th. And we pick up Senna. Senna is well off the pace. So it looks like that is going to do it. Logan Arond with his 5th pole position of the season, followed by Nicolo Falzaresi in 2nd. So Luke Smith did not set a time. That's what Luke Smith does. He will be starting in the 20th position, all the way in the back. And we see WSK Falcon. Looks like he joined mid-qualifying session. That is newcomer Gabriel Primerano. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, but he was on an out lap trying to set a time to get around, but the clock ran out before he could cross the line for a hot lap, so he will be starting in the 19th position. And that is going to do it for this qualifying session. Looks like Van Gelder's got some fans in the stands. Yes, we get to see Nick's last-ditch effort for pole 1:24.304, good enough for 5th. It was a half a second improvement over his previous hot lap, so good on him for that. So Sandro Dulius be a little disappointed with himself, contending for the championship. starting in the 9th position. Granted, it's still early on in the season. But here is your starting order. Logan Arond, followed by Nicolo Falzaresi. Oleski, Max Mulder will be starting in 4th. Nick Van Gelder is 5th. Guillermo Garcia is 6th. Juan Vasquez is 7th. Vincenzo Torri falls all the way to 8th. Sandro is going to be 9th. Eric Holm, 10th. Jesper Lempinen will be starting in 11th. Cameron Weston Edwards will be 12th. And it looks like Senna Haywire will be 13th. Dion Stahl, 14th. Tim Ventic, very disappointing 15th starting spot for him. Ivan Brito will be in 16th. Brian Power will start 17th. Robin Hertestein is 18th, and that is the last of the time lapse. We see Gabriel, I'm just going to call him Gabriel, starting in 19th, and Luke Smith will be starting at the rear of this field. And Eva Mayer is saying, show the boys you're the best driver in town. Yeah, it used to be. Season 4 champion for Nick Van Gelder, so it looks good to see Nick's got some fans in the stands. Looks like we also have some fans for the Alfa Romeo boys. Falzaresi got a fan in the stand as well. So we'll wait for the game to set, and we will do our formation lap. And there's Nick on the live chat. Must be his girlfriend. Oh, Nick, let's see. Last week, Nick gave a seminar on time management and then managed to miss the race because of time management. And then this week he's given a seminar on sim racing, so we'll see if that actually pays off. So far, so good, starting in the 5th position. So we'll run down the starting grid one more time here on the formation lap. Logan Arond is your pole sitter, 5th time this season. 5 out of 6 races he started in the front spot. Nicolo Falzaresi will be starting in 2nd. And Oleski will be starting in 3rd. Max Mulder coming off of a win last week, starting in the 4th spot. Looking to see if he can put himself on the podium again. Nick Van Gelder, we've already talked about quite a bit. Season 4 champion, starting in the 5th position. And Guillermo Garcia, coming off of a 3-race ban, is back joining us. He's going to be starting in the 6th position, along with Juan Vasquez right behind him. Vincenzo Torri, coming off of back-to-back podium positions, finishing 3rd in the last 2 races. He's going to try and do it again today, starting from 8th. And Sandro Dulius is going to be disappointed with himself, starting all the way back in 9th. He's got Eric Holm starting behind him. Haven't seen Holm yet this season. Making his Season 8 debut today with a good qualifying effort, starting in 10th. He'll be followed by Jesper Lempinen in the 11th position. Cameron Weston Edwards, I think coincidentally, started 12th last week, as he is today. Disappointing run for him, as he finished 12th last week is what I should say. Finished 12th last week, starting 12th today. Behind him will be Senna Haywire, who had a good race going last week until he lost the back end and ended up falling through the grid, and then ended up having a DNF later in the race. He'll be looking to try and make up for that today. See if he can finish the race and put some points on the board as a bonus. Dion Stahl with a disappointing qualifying effort, back in the 14th position. And one of the big 3, actually big 3 or big 4, I should say, Tim Ventic, starting all the way back in the 15th position. We saw his disappointing qualifying effort. Not good for him. Ivan Brito and Brian Power will be starting 16th and 17th. Robin Hertestein will be in the 18th position. And making his SRL debut, he was unable to put in a time, but Gabriel Primorano will be starting in the 19th position, and Luke Smith doing what Luke Smith does, starting in 20th on the hard tires. He'll pull the Kyle Larson, start from the back, race to the front. We'll see where he finishes off at the end of this race. As we get ready, and this grid resets for 5 red lights. Five red lights. Lights out. Time to run what you brung. They're away in a puff of smoke, and it looks like it's a good start for Falzaresi and Max Mulder as Mulder jumps Oleski and gets into the 3rd position. Logan gets away clean, and now it's side by side, Falzaresi along with Max Mulder as they head through the S's here, and Mulder's going to take the 2nd position away from Falzaresi. And the race is on down the straightaway, but Falzaresi trying to come back. It looks like he's got Oleski behind him, and Juan Vasquez is losing a couple positions as they're all spread out. 3 wide coming out of that corner. Looks like Nick Van Gelder all over the back of Garcia. And look at this. Am I seeing things, or is that Gabriel all the way up to the 12th position from 19th already? And we've got a gaggle of cars back here. Contact between a couple of them. Dion Stahl becoming a sandwich. Cameron Weston Edwards rubbing wheels with Gabriel. We see Brian Power losing a spot to Luke Smith. Gabriel able to pull away from Cameron Weston Edwards. Behind him, it's Senna. And it looks like we got a car around that. Looks like that was Brian Power. Yep, looks like Brian Power lost the back end. He's still losing the back end. Gets it going once again. And Logan Arond all the way up to the back of the field now. Logan Arond out in front, followed by Max Mulder, followed by Nicolo Falzaresi, followed by Oleski. Gabriel Garcia in the 5th position. Nick loses out a spot, drops to 6th. Vincenzo Torri behind him in 7th. Juan Vasquez up to 8th. Sandro's still 9th, and he's getting pressure from Tim Ventic. Ventic started 15th. He's up to 10th, battling with Sandro for the 9th position. We've got caution flag sector 1 and 2. Looks like there's a battle going on between Guillermo and Oleski. They're side by side. Down to the inside. Guillermo's going to make that pass. And Brian Power has retired from the session. So it looks like Brian's day went from bad to worse. He is done here on lap 2. Eric Holm dived into the pits after contact early in lap 1. And Tim Ventic now getting by Sandro Dulius. And we've got ourselves a massive mid-pack battle. 4th all the way down to what is 12th position. All the cars are separated by mere tenths of a second. Logan Arond still out in front to the tune of 7/10 of a second. Hasn't really been able to pull away too far yet from Max Mulder. And Logan just ran the fastest lap of this race on lap 2, 1:27.967. We see Guillermo making another move. I'm trying to keep up with everything going on. He's gotten up to 5th now. He's trying to close in on Oleski. We ride on board with him. Look out the back. You see Nick Van Gelder. We got a caution flag flying in sector 3. Looks like that may have been Senna. I saw it on the track map, a little green dot. That's definitely going to be Senna. And now DRS is going to be available for some of these drivers. And it looks like with so many drivers mid-pack this close to each other, we might get ourselves a little bit of a DRS train going here. But this will truly show which cars are trimmed out and which ones aren't. Falzaresi still got guys cheering for him here on the live chat as he's currently running in the 3rd position. And take a look. Oh, look at this. This is Gabriel on board trying to get by Oleski. Woo! And that is some tight racing right there. We pick up Falzaresi in the 3rd spot. Logan again with the fastest lap, and he just, Max Mulder trying so hard to stay within that 1 second range. Oh, yellow flag sector 3, that's Dion Stahl. He was running in the 14th position, and it looks like Dion is done for the day. Not sure what happened there, but he looks like he has crashed out. We've got ourselves a, look, I can only assume right this second is a virtual safety car. Got yellow flags in all 3 sectors. And unfortunately, the virtual safety car is where we will actually start to see some separation from these cars. The virtual safety car delta is very much a gray area. Seen a lot of drivers, especially not just in real life when it happens, but very much in online racing, the gaps seem to expand, but you see Max Mulder trying to close that gap down under the virtual safety car. So, and this is why I say it's a gray area. You have Logan Aron, who had a second gap, now down to nothing. Maybe there's a full safety car that I'm unaware of, because the game hasn't said anything except Sector 1, 2, and 3. I shouldn't be surprised. F1 games are related with glitches and bugs. So we've lost 2 drivers in 4 laps. And I don't see an actual... Okay, I do see the safety car sign flashing, so at least there's my indication. Looks like we are under a full safety car. And I want to see... Jesper's the only one that's going to be jumping in the pits, taking tires. Ivan Brito jumps in. So it looks like these guys are going to try and run an alternate tire strategy. And there's the safety car. How about that? Finally. So Logan Aron is your leader, followed by Max Mulder. Nicola Falzarezzi is third. Guillermo Garcia has made his way into the 4th position. Oleski is 5th. Nick Van Gelder's dropped back 1 spot to the 6th position. Vincenzo Torri is 7th. And Tim Ventic has gone from 15th to 8th in 4 laps. Juan Vasquez is 9th. Sandro Dulius has fallen back to 10th. And look at this. Gabriel Primerano has gone from 19th to 11th, bringing Luke Smith with him, 20th to 12th. Robin Herderstegen is 13th. Jesper, we saw dive into the pits. He's going to be 14th. Cameron Weston Edwards has dropped back to 15th. Ivan Brito is 16th. Eric Holm, who started 10th, has now fallen back to 17th. And Senna Hayware is 18th. Dion Stahl and Brian Power, your 2 drivers with DNFs, as Senna is bringing up the rear. So the safety car will wait for Senna and the other back markers to catch up to the pack, I'm pretty sure, before releasing itself. So, unfortunately, not sure what happened to Dion Stahl. Dion is one of the more consistent drivers in this league. Rarely does he have a DNF. Very rarely does he have a DNF. So, not sure if he had a little bit of help on that one, but... And we've got Dion wanting to know if he can join the commentary. By all means, jump into the SRL streaming party and join us. You can be our driver analyst and let us know what happened to you, Dion. Come on in. And Ivan Brito picks up a 3-second time penalty under the safety car. That is embarrassing. So Ivan looks like he may have done it. Cut the white line diving into the pits, maybe? Wait for the safety car to be done. We'll see if Dion joins us here on not just the live chat, but here on the actual commentary box. I don't think I have to invite him. Oh. Yep, might need to invite him. Stand by. See if I can get him in here before the safety car is released. My PlayStation is oh so old. There's Dion. Add players. And hopefully he gets an invite for that. Alright, back to live feed here. It's coming back. Give it a second there, Eduardo. Alright, safety car in this lap. All the cars have finally caught up. And Logan Aron will become the control car. See, Logan's car is looking a little goofy there. Now, I'm not sure if that's my internet or his. I know Logan has had some internet issues in the past, and Dion did manage to get in here. Dion, we'll get to you in just a second as we get back to go. Green flag racing. Logan Aron, the control car, takes off, pulls a half-second gap over Max Mulder. Falzarezzi down into turn one. Sandro Dulius looks like he's losing a position out to newcomer Gabriel. Jesper Lempinen is getting by Cameron Weston Edwards. Looks like the field is going to semi-settle itself out. Dion, what happened there on your DNF?
Well, quite simple. I probably went too early on the gas in the last corner. Maybe I hit a curbstone. Don't know. Maybe also floor damage played a role. As in just a lap before, Cameron spun on turn 3, and I had to avoid him and go over the curbstones on the left. And yeah, just a bad performance by myself, unfortunately.
It's funny you mentioned the final corner because we saw a lot of drivers actually have some issues in that final corner during qualifying. Tim Ventic, Sandro, and your teammate Sandro had an issue there. I think there was another driver, possibly Brian Power, had an issue there. It was Senna that spun there, yeah. So the final corner, a bit tricky for you guys this year.
Yeah, unfortunately it is, but that makes it fun as well. Just unfortunate I was... yeah, I was this time the one who spun it around and hit the wall too hard.
And yellow flag sector 3, looks like that may have been Ivan Brito or Senna. Either way, the two Aston Martins are looking like actual Aston Martins. We see Senna gets by Ivan Brito for the 15th position. And Max Mulder running in the second spot. He's lost touch with Logan Aron. He's got Nicola Falzarezzi all over the back of him. Don't know that the DRS is enabled just yet after the safety car, as these two are in hot pursuit of Logan. Oh, and Eric Holm has had a crash in Sector 1. And is that going to be another full course safety car?
Yes, safety car indeed.
Yep, another full course caution.
On the second corner.
So just as we got going again, we are going to have to end it again. Eric Holm, who had a great qualifying effort, making his Season 8 debut, started in the 10th position, fell back early, and here, unfortunately, on lap 8, he is done for the day. So I'm not sure what happened to him.
Yeah, as I saw what I think I saw, then he most likely hit the curb zone to half on the second corner and then spun it into the left in the wall there at the pit lane exit.
Kind of a weird spot to crash. I'm not a Formula 1 driver, and I don't pretend to be. I'm very bad at this game, but that seems like a very weird spot to have.
Falcon has spun on the safety car.
Oh no, Gabriel Primirano. Gabriel Primirano is somehow, I think that's how you say that. Spins on the safety car. Where is he? And he wasn't able to maintain pace. He's going to fall all the way back to the 15th position. Now, we do have a lot of drivers coming in this time under this safety car to do swap tires. This is definitely going to jumble up the running position for a lot of these guys. In fact, Max Mulder came in, so that's going to hand second position over to Nicola Falzarezzi. Oleski moves up to third. Juan Vasquez is fourth, and Luke Smith, who started in the 20th position, is all the way up to fifth now. Cameron Weston Edwards is sixth. Jesper Lempinen will be seventh, and Guillermo Garcia will be eighth. I think Max Mulder is going to be the first car in that is pitted. Cameron pitted earlier on the last safety car.
Ooh, dirty tactics. I think Senna on purpose ran wide off track so that Max could overtake him and then just go back on track so that Max's exit position on track at the restart. Actually quite weird as they are not teammates. Probably are in the same party together.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. That's one thing to have team orders, but kind of frowned upon if you're helping a friend, not necessarily on your team. So that's not up to me. We'll see if that gets reported by any of the drivers in the after the race, but that is certainly interesting to see. Albeit Senna is not the best driver, unfortunately, unlike Ayrton Senna. He's the polar opposite, so he could have just literally messed up under the safety car.
Yeah, to be honest, it didn't seem like it, as it was on the straight. He just went off track on the straight line and then just turned off track there and then just turned in on the corner with apex like he used to, but then from off track so that Max could pass him. Looked weird, but we'll see what happens in the stewards meeting afterwards.
Certainly an interesting predicament we see here. Safety car should be in this lap. Looks like everybody has caught up at this point. Unfortunately, we have almost a full lap to go before that safety car comes in. And Ivan Brito has retired from the session. What happened to Ivan?
Don't know what happened, but it looked like he actually crashed him. Also
now,
on a weird place.
Again, the end of the straightaway. You're not... Yeah, I mean, you're not at speed. You're not turning. You're basically at the end of that front straightaway.
Okay, yeah, the only thing I can imagine actually is a controller disconnect, but still, quite weird.
So we've now lost 4 cars. Ivan Brito, Eric Holm, Dion Stahl, who's joined us in the booth, will be our driver analyst for the rest of the race. And then we have Brian Power, who was the first one out. And there you see the internet lag from Logan Aron's car. We've talked about it before. Logan had some internet issues in the past. I mean, to be fair, he is all the way in America and joining a European server, so some lag is to be expected, but it looks like it's a little bit more prominent today than normal. So he will become the control car, and Nicolo Falzaresi is going to be second position and see if he can... Let's see, when you hop on board with Logan, you don't see any of that. And it looks like he is off to the races, trying to jump that start, and there he goes. And immediately pulls the gap on Falzaresi. Good restart by Logan Aron. Look at the gap he's pulled out already. Great restart by him, and it looks like we have Guillermo Garcia trying to make a move down into the left-hander, and he's going to try and get around Oleski for the third position. They're side by side as they come out of the corner. Going to try and pick up a little bit of a slipstream coming down this long straightaway. No DRS just yet. And while we're watching this, Falzaresi is caught to the back of Logan Aron. And I'm sorry, that was Juan Vasquez, not Guillermo Garcia. That was Juan Vasquez trying to get around Oleski, getting my Alpines mixed up. As we see, Tim Ventic is trying to get around. And he just did get around somebody. Jesper Lempen's 3-car battle back here. There's lots going on mid-pack. And we've got a caution flag flying in Sector 3. No, Sandro has gone around. His day is not going the way he wanted to. Had a poor qualifying effort starting in the 9th position. Hasn't been able to make much headway. And it looks like he's going to dive into the pits and run an alternate tire strategy. Might have to get a front wing
from the last corner at the same time. Don't know what happened to Guillermo, to be honest, but he has spun it around, and at the moment he is in P15.
Oh yeah, Guillermo Garcia all the way down to 15th. Good call on that.
doesn't look like he had front wing damage though. Probably just spun it on the last corner as well.
Meanwhile, we've got Luke Smith. Luke Smith just got around Juan Vasquez for the 4th position. So you can always bet on Luke to work his way through the field. He's going to be knocking on the door of Oleski here for the 3rd position here in the next lap or so. Now Max Mulder pitted under that safety car, fell all the way back to the 8th position. He's managed to make his way back up to 6th, but he's getting pressure from Cameron Weston Edwards.
Senna has spun around in the fast left-hander, and he has lost the front wing.
Yeah, that's pretty much par for the course with him. That'll at least help Sandro pick up 1 spot. Race control says DRS is enabled here after the 2nd safety car that we've had. So Cameron Weston Edwards losing touch with Max Mulder as Mulder pulls away. He's got Tim Ventic knocking on his rear door at this point. Ventic and the other Haas trying to close that gap. And Nick Van Gelder coming up on that's going to be a 3-car battle for the 7th position. And luckily they've got DRS because, oh, it looks like one of the Alpines ran wide coming out of that corner. Oh, and there's contact between, looks like that might have been, that's Juan Vasquez and Max Mulder. There's contact. Oh, and there's more contact. Looks like Max might have been cutting him off there a little bit.
In the meantime, Alexia has overtaken Nicola for P2.
Whoa, it looks like
Yes,
we've got one of the AlphaTauris around.
Ooh, and he nearly reversed into Guillermo.
That's Jesper Lempinen trying to get his car straightened out. Looks like he may have had some help. Trying to keep up with everything. We go back to this battle. This is Max Mulder with Tim Ventic all over the back of him. Now these cars have gotten separated a little bit with everything that was going on there. And Senna picks up a 3-second time penalty. And we'll pick up Nick Van Gelder all over the back of Cameron Weston Edwards. He's got the DRS open. And he's going to need it if he wants to try and get by Cameron. Looks like he wasn't fast enough at the end of that straightaway. Tries a crossover move once, tries it twice. Back onto the straightaway. Looks like Max Mulder's gone around. Got spun coming out of that corner as we ride along with Nick Van Gelder, trying to get by Cameron Weston Edwards. He's got the DRS open. He's going to beat Cameron to the braking zone. Runs a little wide. Here comes Cameron back at him again. Nick able to pull away. And side by side back there, it looks like that's Vincenzo and Gabriel. What a wild bunch of racing that was. And there's Max Mulder coming out of that corner. He's fallen back to the 11th position. Not sure if he lost it on his own, if he had a little bit of help. So about halfway through this race now, 15 of 29. And let's take a look here at some of these pit stops. So the top 4 have yet to pit. I'm assuming they all started on the hard tires. Just how long can these hards go before these top 4 drivers are going to have to make a stop? $14 laps on the hards. Dion, how long can those hards last before these guys are going to have to make a pit stop?
In general, those hards can last around a lap or 20, maybe 22. But performance-wise, pitting is recommended after about 17 laps and then go to the mediums till the end. As the mediums can go around 15 laps at most. Maybe if you stretch them and save your tires, then it's fine. But yeah, depends on the driver.
And it looks like we've got Senna Haywire is having some issues with his car. And again, he had an issue at on the straightaway. Coming into that hairpin, that left-handed hairpin, that's... Senna, may need to be some discussion about his racecraft at the end of this race as we continue to watch this three-car battle. This is Cameron Weston-Edwards, Niccolo Falzaresi, and Gabriel Permano. I don't know how to say his last name. Gabriel, just Gabriel. Three-car battle, though. Cameron Weston-Edwards trying to hang on. Gabriel's going to go all the way down off the track. They're three wide coming down the straightaway. Gabriel touches Cameron. Oh, and there's a big wreck. They're all three cars are involved.
Nick was close there to be collected as well in P7 as an innocent bystander, but luckily he could avoid it. But man, it was an unfortunate spin by the three cars.
And making it through that wreck was not only Nick Van Gelder, but Max Mulder picked up 3 spots, missing that wreck, and moves himself into the 8th position. And
oh no, Alexia spun in the round, and I think Lucas crashed into him as well and got front wing damage. And I think Manuelito as well.
Here comes Van Gelder. And Falzaresi dives into the pits along with Luke Smith. And we have a safety car being deployed. Third safety car of this race. So this is going to shake things up big time. A lot of guys are going to be diving into the pits. 17 to 29. We saw some of the guys pit earlier. They've already switched over to mediums. Is anybody going to gamble and switch to softs? Could they run softs this long?
I think you can stretch the softs at max 9 to 10 laps. But at the moment I'm the most interested to see how the Haas team will play out. As Logan and Tim are actually now in a 1-2 position, but they can't really double stack at the moment, as Tim is too close. But maybe Tim will actually stay out on his old hards, but I don't think that's the best strategy for him either.
Well, Tim pitted last safety car. He's actually got 8 laps on his hards. Logan's the one that would definitely need to pit. He's started on the hards. He's gone this whole race on the hards. But obviously he will forfeit that lead position. So yeah, this has definitely shooken things up big time. And we have one driver on softs. That would be Senna, and he's on 3-lap softs. And Senna is his own highlight reel. We've seen Senna spin twice. We saw him. We know he gave up a position on the front straightaway to Max Mulder. We saw him spin under the safety car. So and it looks like Logan has pitted, switched over to the medium tires. And looks like Tim has come in as well. Tim has come in, so the Haas did double stack. Tim came in, switched over to mediums as well. So that's going to put Vincenzo up into second.
And it's 2-3 now for Alfa Romeo, splitting the Haas drivers. So interesting to see how that will play out. As Vincenzo is on 9 levels hard tires, and yeah, I don't know if they can last. At least I think he will let through his teammate at the restart, and then try to get his back in defense from Tim. It's interesting to see how this will play out.
Well, I think it should be noted that even Logan and Tim are both on the same team. I don't think that there's much of a team cohesion there between those two drivers. Not that there's any bad blood between them. It's just they don't necessarily work as a team. You know, it's the polar opposite of you and Sandra, where you guys work as a team and you guys have been the same teammates for so long that there's, obviously a history there and a rapport. There's none of that with Tim and Logan. They're both kind of out for themselves. Tim obviously wanting to come back full-time, win a championship. Logan wanting to, win a championship. There's no love lost between those two drivers, but there's no necessarily hatred either.
Yeah, true. I agree. I think two drivers are fine with each other in communicating, but when it comes out basically in the end, they will all fight for their own, and there will be no teamwork most likely.
The same could be said between Vincenzo Torri and Nicolo Falzaresi. I think there's a little bit of a better relationship there between those two drivers, but Nicolo, he's got a lot of potential, had a win last year. Vincenzo's coming off of back-to-back podiums. They both want to try and do the best that they can. So I don't think that there's necessarily any team orders there, but that is a team that I could see, if the scenario was slightly different, they might have team orders between themselves depending on the scenario. I just don't see any scenario where Tim or Logan's going to give up a position to one or the other.
Yeah, true. I think in the Alfa Romeo team, as I feel like that Vincenzo and Nicolo are actually quite good friends, that if needed, Vincenzo will always help Nicolo and all the way around. But that makes it quite interesting. And I don't know if it is true what I see, but I think Nick has done something under the safety car such that he has to pit again, quickly enough.
Yeah, Nick Van Gelder all the way back to the 15th position, had to pit again, possibly rear-ending another car, getting front wing damage. But Nick will catch up and the safety car will get released, and it looks like we'll have ourselves a 10-lap shootout, pending no other safety cars.
Never say never, especially in SRL.
But that was a wild, and I'm really surprised too. It was a 3-car crash. All 3 of those cars are still in the race. Gabriel, Cameron, and I think it was Jesper. And then Oleski had his ordeal. So it was the combination of the 3-car crash plus Oleski getting wrecked and Luke Smith making contact with him. So there was a combination of calamities that brought out this most recent safety car. And you see Vincenzo trying to be as close to Logan Arond as he can as Logan gets ready to take us back to green flag racing. Logan's been sneaky here on the past couple of restarts. And a couple of more. There he goes.
Oh, somebody lost front wing.
And he stacks up the rear field. Another great getaway by Logan Arond.
Ooh, Vincenzo with a bad restart. He already lost 4 position going into turn 2, and it looks like he has contact and he crashes with Alexi. It looked like. Oh, it's lag. Oh, it was just lag, luckily. Oh my goodness. But he has lost another position. He already down to P8. Ooh, that's a bad restart by Vincenzo.
So Vincenzo all the way down to 8th. Tim Ventic up into 3rd. Max Mulder in the 6th, trying to work his way back to the front of this field. Juan Vasquez up to 4th, a good run for him, but he's got Luke Smith all over the back of him. Here comes Luke, caution flag flies, sector 2.
Yeah, yes,
that was a McLaren of Robin Herderstagen as we ride on board with Nick Van Gelder. I'm sorry, Luke Smith. Getting my Red Bulls mixed up, side by side with Juan Vasquez. Trying to hang tough. Luke slides the back end. Almost lost the back end of that Red Bull coming out of that corner. Trying to stick with Juan Vasquez, and Vasquez able to hold off Luke Smith. And I'm not going to lie, there's not a lot of drivers that can say they held off Luke Smith like that. Luke always the premier substitute driver, always one of those guys I feel like he could definitely contend for a championship if he would commit himself to a full-time season.
Or just qualify instead of starting last.
He would win every race.
Ooh, Jesper retired by himself.
Jesper retires by himself. Nick Van Gelder has worked his way from 15th up to 10th under this restart, so good on Nick, getting himself back into the points. Meanwhile, Luke Smith still trying to find a way around, and he runs wide coming out of that corner, and that's a 3-second time penalty for Luke Smith. And we've got ourselves a bit of a stack up here in the midfield. We've got pretty much second all the way back to sixth. They're separated by mere tenths of a second. Meanwhile, Logan Aron is pulled away to the tune of 2.2 seconds. So Logan not under threat from anybody. Meanwhile, we got second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth now. And another yellow flag, sector 3, and that's going to be, it looks like that's going to be Gabriel.
Yeah, for the second time in the same corner. 2 laps in a row. Struggling on those mediums, probably. Most likely overheating.
Yeah, so I'm not used to this game. How hard is it to bring those tire temps back down once you've overheated them in this year's model?
Well, there are 2 options. Hopefully get a safety car, or just drive slower. And yeah, for a racing driver, that's always really, really tough. Because yeah, you always want to be fast, and especially most of us are really competitive. We always want to fight at the front. And yeah, the best way to do that is lower the tire pressures. But if you forget, in case you didn't do it when selecting the setup just before the race or in qualifying, yeah, then you're most
and there's
likely,
contact between Max Mulder and Guillermo Garcia, and that's going to get a little argy-bargy there.
Meanwhile, Tim passes
Oh, and look at this. They're side by side to make contact again. Guillermo's going to try and get down to the inside. Mulder able to hold him off, but they both run a little wide. And Guillermo's all over the gearbox of Max Mulder as Max tries to hang tough and hold him off. Dives to the inside. He's going to make contact with Mulder again. Pushes him wide. Mulder cuts back across the nose of Guillermo. This is unbelievable. Guillermo's going to cut the corner again, and round he goes. And Mulder goes with him. It goes through Nicolo. No, that was Vicenzo. Vicenzo makes it through up into the 7th position. And that was bound to happen. Those guys were rubbing, bumping, and banging for 5 or 6 corners. Guillermo's going to... Oh, he misses the pit entrance! And Cameron Weston Edwards slams into the back of Guillermo and breaks his front wing. Oh, and Guillermo's going to call it a day. He's going to retire from the session out of what could only be sheer frustration at this point.
Yeah. Gabrielli has spun as well. At the meantime.
Unbelievable.
But interesting enough, it's still a close fight for P2. As there's now a 4-way battle with Tim at the moment in front of Nikodo, and then Juan, impressively, still in P4, right in front of Luke Smith. And maybe Alexi can catch up, so we have actually a 5-way fight for P2.
So we pick up the battle here. This is again Luke Smith trying to get around Juan Vasquez for the 4th position. They both have timing penalties. Not sure if they'll come into play at the end of this race or not. Working lap 23 of 29. Luke all over the gearbox, and that is going back to the Guillermo incident. That was a I mean, they were battling 4, 5, 6 corners, and it looks like Luke Smith picks up another timing penalty. And Ivan Brito has come on the live stream saying that he crashed on the safety car. It's really embarrassing. So, unfortunately for Ivan, we figured out what happened to him. Yes, it is embarrassing. Nonetheless, the race continues. So, Falzarezzi is running in 3rd, and he's got 4th, 5th, and 6th stacking up behind him, and around goes Falzarezzi. That moves Luke into the 3rd position, and he's bringing Oleski with him. So, turn of events here for Nicolo Falzarezzi, unfortunately. And now Luke Smith, even though he finds himself in the third position, he's got 2 timing penalties that I know of. He's not going to finish in the third spot. So now it's all about damage control, about how far he can make the gap. And Ivan Brito saying he was warming up his tires and lost the back end under the safety car and crashed. That is embarrassing nonetheless. And we see Vincenzo has fallen back to the 8th position. Nick Van Gelder has moved his way up into 7th. And Nicolo Falzaresi, after his mishap, has fallen back into the 6th position. Eduardo on the live chat screaming no, not Nicolo, but yes, unfortunately, Nicolo.
Yeah, at the moment he should stay, at least in 2.5 seconds still. He has to Luke Smith, so we can maybe still even finish in P4. But at the moment I feel like he has lost some pace, as he has also lost the DRS again to Juan, who was just overtaken him half a lap ago. So I feel like he has got floor damage, unfortunately.
Now the floor damage, is that new for this year for this game? Or is that something that's been a part of the games in the past?
Floor damage has only been part since last year's game. They have changed it over the year to this year because this time it has a bit of less impact compared to last year, but it's still enough to at least, depending on how much, go a bit slower on the straights and maybe also go slower in the corners because you have lost some aerodynamics.
And we see Oleski makes the move on Luke Smith to take over the 3rd position. Luke didn't do too much of a hard defense there, knowing he's got those time penalties. So that puts Oleski into 3rd, and that is now what is becoming the big 3. Logan, Tim, and Oleski are your 3 main championship contenders. Sandro Dolia is 4th in points coming into the race today. Max Mulder making himself a part of the championship contenders with the win last week, but Mulder right now, all the way back in the 10th position, is going to fall out of touch in the point standings just a little bit. Still early on in the season, but the big 3 are out in front, running in the top 3 positions. And it looks like a lot of these cars have separated themselves at this point a little bit. We do have a 3-car battle back here in the 7th position. This is Nick Van Gelder trying to hold off Vincenzo Torri, who is trying to hold off Sandro Dolius. So 3-car battle for the 7th spot. And Sandro's day has been, I don't want to say up and down, but it's been down and then lower and then down again. Started in the 9th position, had the mishap early on in the race, fell back through the field, pitted. He's worked his way back into the 9th position, so not the day that Sandro wanted to have, but looking to try and pick up a couple of spots here between Vincenzo and Nick Van Gelder. And Van Gelder is going to be a sit and duck as he's out in front with no DRS. Vincenzo is going to be able to dive to the inside. Nick trying to hang tough on the outside, and so far makes the outside line work. Great defense by Nick Van Gelder, showing some good skills there, and that's why he was a Season 4 champion, as he holds off these 2 drivers. And coming through now what has basically been a calamity corner. The Sector 3 has been a mess today between the last couple of corners. Nick able to separate himself from Vincenzo just a little bit. So it's going to give him a little bit of a gap. Vincenzo's going to pick up the DRS as they come down towards this straightaway. Nick able to get really good run through Sector 3, almost pulls out a second gap. Yellow flag flies in Sector 3, looks like that's going to be for Gabriel in the Williams. We ride along with Vincenzo trying to hold off Sandro Dolia. Sandro makes a little bit of contact with them down in the braking zone through the chicane. Sandro backs off a little bit, and I wonder if Sandro may have just damaged his front wing a little bit in that exchange. And Sandro lost touch real quick, 1.1 seconds behind now. We'll pick up Sandro's car. See if we can see any wing damage. Doesn't look like he's got any wing damage, but definitely lost a little bit of speed there. Through Sector 3, looks like Sandro is actually starting to catch back up to Vincenzo now. And this is probably about the calmest this race has been up to this point, as the last couple of laps. Looks like there's a little bit of separation between most of the drivers at this point. Luke Smith is in hot pursuit of Oleski for the 3rd position, but that's going to be inconsequential because Luke Smith has multiple timing penalties that will be assessed at the end of this race. So even if he gets by Oleski for 3rd, he's not going to be able to hang on to it. Sandro has caught the back of Vincenzo once again. So we'll hop on board with him, see if Sandro can get the move done this time, maybe on this next lap or two. Only 2 to go. Logan Arond out in front to the tune of 7.5 seconds. DRS slot open for Sandro, and he thinks better of it this time.
And now he has, unfortunately, the problem that Vincenzo has gotten DRS again on heat, so he can't pass here again.
So it creates a bit of a DRS train.
Yeah.
Well, Sandro gets a good run coming out of that sweeping left-hander, though. You see the lights charging for Vincenzo. Trying to get that ERS built back up. Sandro was really good through that section. Sandro runs a little wide there. Actually runs very wide there. Trying to get that power down, straighten that car out. Oh, and he gets a little too much of the sausage curb. Ran wide there. That's going to be multiple warnings for track violations there. Got the DRS slot open. Looks like Vincenzo fell out of touch. And once again, Sandro going to try and make a move down to the inside. This time he's going to try and outbrake Vincenzo. They make a little bit of contact here through the left-right exchange. They're side by side coming out of the corner. Ooh, and he's trying to get the power down. He's off course. Vincenzo able to get back out in front. That was a very tight area to try and make that pass happen. That may have been Sandro's best opportunity, as this is the final lap of this race. He gets a good run coming out of this corner. Logan Arond crosses the finish line to pick up another win and extend his championship points lead. Cameron Weston-Edwards just picked up a 3-second time penalty. We continue to ride along with Sandro Dulius, trying to make a last-ditch effort to see if he can pick up one position here. Nick Van Gelder's going to be able to hold off these two drivers. And it doesn't look like Sandro's going to be able to get it done. And in the midst of all this, Max Mulder caught this battle.
Ooh,
and Max crashes his car at the end of the race. That's frowned upon. Shouldn't be doing that. That's just ridiculous. But whatever. Show some maturity, Max. You're a Grand Prix race winner at this point. Yeah, we'll pick up Cameron Weston.
Yeah, at the moment it may be because Cameron pitted on the last lap. He may actually still be on the fastest lap, impressively enough. I don't know.
Whoa, not anymore. He lost the back end of the car, so even fastest lap not for him. And he's in threat of losing a position now. Whoa! Oh, no! Big time loses it, and around he goes. Oh, and he's gonna make contact with Gabriel. So Cameron there getting a little wild there at the end.
Yeah, the race was just 4 corners too long for him. Ah, that's unfortunate for him.
Well, it was an incident-filled race, and it started with an incident, and it ended with an incident. 3 safety cars today. Driver of the day, Luke Smith. Once again, pulling the Kyle Larson, starting from the back, working his way to the front. We'll see where the unofficial results put him after his timing penalties. But it is Logan Arond once again And that is Logan's 4th win of the season. Tim Ventic staying in championship contention. That'll be Tim Ventic's 4th podium position of the season. And Oleski finishing on the podium once again as well. That'll be Oleski's 4th podium finish as well this season. So the big three are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Logan Arond, Tim Ventic, and Oleski are becoming the 3 championship contenders. The cream rises to the top, as they say. So here's your unofficial results for today's race. Looks like Logan Arond with another win. Tim Ventic in 2nd. Oleski is 3rd. Luke Smith manages to hang on to 4th after his timing penalties are assessed. Juan Vasquez is 5th. Nicolo Falzarezzi is 6th. Nick Van Gelder 7th. Vincenzo Torri 8th. Sandro Dulius 9th. Max Mulder is 10th. That rounds out your top 10 points paying positions. Newcomer Gabriel Primorano is in the 11th. Robin Hertersteigen is 12th. Cameron Weston Edwards is 13th. And that rounds out your 13 remaining cars that were running at the end of this race. 14th through 20th were all DNFs. That's Guillermo Garcia, Jesper Lempinen, Senna, Ivan Brito, Eric Holm, Dion Stahl, and Brian Power. And Dion, another crazy race. Unfortunately, you weren't there to finish it, but looking forward to the next round, one of your better tracks?
Yeah, I don't know. At the moment, I feel like it doesn't really matter which track I drive on. It's more that I should get confident in the car at the moment. Especially on the starts, as I got lost again 4 positions. Also because I had to avoid Eric spinning right in front of me. But if I get confident in the car, I probably also get higher and better results. So let's see what brings us for the next race, at least for Ferrari.
And Sandro Dulius on the live chat saying Vincenzo literally drove him off the track, so I'm sure there'll be some discussion about that in the stewards meeting after the race. But for now, I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX. This is Dion Stahl. This has been round 6 of the SRL Season 8 Formula 1 Championship F1 22 here on the PlayStation platform, I guess 4 and 5. So like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check out SRL on Instagram, and we will see everybody at the next round.